Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space with Quita and Chap. Um, Quita is on her way, but welcome to the show. You know, we're all on Baltimore people time on our grinds out here. 1 second. So we're having a little technical difficulties. We're good. So, welcome to the Monday Night Show. My name is Chap. I'm a full time volunteer chaplain for Baltimore City. I'm a professional volunteer, part time actor. And I'm from Northeast Baltimore. We are going to be joined today by Mr. Ronnie Francois, the credit hero. Looks like he is ready to go into backstage. So, without further ado, let's bring Mr. Francois on, the credit hero. How are you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing good.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you again. I had to switch the device, and then once I switched to a different one, I had to authenticate who I was, and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a thing. That's Streamyard. So we use Streamyard, guys. So introduce yourself to the audience, and of course, people are gonna that aren't watching now may come back and watch. So please introduce yourself.
First, I want to say thank you for having me on your amazing show. You're definitely doing some amazing things. So I definitely appreciate what you
Thank you.
do, and the people of the city love you, adore everything that you do. So definitely want to say thank you to you. Again, like you mentioned, my name is Rony Francois, the credit hero, the financial literacy advocate, consumer law advocate. I have many titles, but my main purpose is to make financial literacy education available to everybody. Because credit is something that impacts your life. I always say there's two times you don't need credit. It's when you're dead and when you go to jail. Other than that, you're always going to need credit. So I'm just trying to pass the knowledge, make positive impact.
Well, thank you for that. And I will share, guys. The reason Ronnie's on the show, he is in the same space as I'm in, as we're out serving the community. He has a specific, very specific and intentional service that he provides. Right. He. I've listened to him talk about some of the credit laws and some of the ways that capitalism kind of oppresses our community and culture in general. Um, and he is very how do I put it, man? You've done your homework, bro. Like when I hear you talk about it, you're very precise, almost surgical with the way that you can unpack some of the information, but you're able to communicate at every level. So I can see you like successfully articulating what you do in front of youth, as well as in front of credit and bank professionals. Man, the language that you can use, the way that you can explain it to a regular like lay person like me, I'm listening to you like, wow, how are we allowing some of these things to happen? Um, and I still need to get with you, y'all. I'm look, I'm putting this out. I'm putting this out on the stream just so everybody can hold me accountable. Um, I will tell you that my credit is in the garbage from two broken marriages, and identity fraud from my first wife. Like I just gave up and like just threw everything to the wind and threw it in the garbage. But um, Mr. Francois and what he does, he definitely inspires hope for even someone like me who probably has like a 300 credit score. There is hope there, and there's actually you
Yeah.
can actually rebuild that and repair that. And the value in that I've never really necessarily just the way that I live. I grew up surviving in Baltimore, so it was like I never really trusted banks and never really did things always above line or in order. And I've learned to survive like that. But as you become a mature adult and you evolve beyond this survival mode, there's value in having good credit, and not to say it's necessary because you can live debt free, and there's ways to live outside of that system. But to have that system on your side and be in order with that system makes your life a lot easier. So I don't know if you want to speak to a little bit about that and how your journey. How did you get to where you are now?
Um, yeah, thank you. Again, like you said, all credits is repairable and fixable because what people don't realize is a lot of stuff that's on our credit that's making it bad to have impact on it shouldn't even be on it to begin with. So that's why it's repairable. Like for example, late payment, your payment history is 35% of credit score, but your late payment should not even be on your credit report. It's under Fair Credit Reporting Act. It says your transactions should not is not part of your consumer report. But most people don't know that though. So you get one late payment, your score drops 60 points, and then you gotta wait for a whole bunch of years for it to come off. So people don't know that's why the education is so important. I kind of got into it by accident because at one time my credit was bad. It was so bad I used to hope somebody would steal my identity. That's how bad it was. I'm like, well, if they steal it, at least I can find any theft, get it, get it fixed. But after many years of trials and errors, a lot of mistakes, um, I studied, and then I realized the information was out there. And then once I tapped into, it, I'm like, there's probably other people that need this information too. And then I was actually for years, I was just giving the information out for free, just giving out free. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should write a book. I'm like, maybe I should write 2 books. You know what I mean? So I just started writing books because I wanted people, because a lot of people use that as an excuse. I don't know the information. I can't access. I can't tap into it because all the information is out there though. Like for example, like the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I think it's been around since like 1970. But a lot of people never even heard that before though. So it's like Congress put these laws in place to protect you as a consumer. And if you're not going to take the time to read it, the bank sure is not going to tell you, oh, you have these rights. For example, like you get a loan, you get a mortgage under 15 USC 6802 before they put that on your credit. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, 15. Because I like to use law. Because people like to fact check you. You know what I mean? Yeah, 15 USC 6802. Like your information should not be shared with the Consumer Reporting Agency. Unless it's an affiliate party, they cannot share your non-public information. Really straight to that simple. So I can't think of any banks, any institution that's affiliated with Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. So that right there, to tell you that stuff should not be on your credit report. Again, there's a lot of laws like that that people do not know. And then with the thing, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and the thing that you don't know, people gonna use it against you because you don't know it. I can't hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mute myself because I like to talk a lot and I try not to interrupt my guests, man.
Okay.
Because it's just me. I'm not being rude. It's just like as you talk, I have these ideas, and sometimes I just want to jump out of my face, man.
Cool.
But no, as you're talking, I'm thinking about like you're talking about these laws and these rules that are, somebody lobbied and pushed to put them in place to protect us, but then there's no entity or anybody really backing them up and holding accountable, right? And I'm reminded of this because this weekend election and market, Dr. Larry Brown was talking about redlining policies and things like that, and he was going over the history of like FHA and how that came into place through the civil rights movement and legislation and lobbying, and how the FHA put in place these rules to protect people of color from unfair housing practices, but in the end the laws were passed almost because like reluctantly because they had to, but then there was no funding put towards these laws, and there was no real accountability being held for a very long time to make sure that people were abiding by these laws. So like even though these laws were in place in like 68, maybe a 64, I think it's 68, then people still abused the system because no one was really looking at them. And I feel like that's still happening with credit as I'm listening to you talk. Like there's these rules in place to protect consumers from unfair practices, but no one's really checking up on it if we don't check up on it ourselves. And I'm with everybody else, Ronnie. I'm gonna tell you, like, I appreciate and respect what you have done and the information you've learned because I've, like I said, like I've experienced probably the worst of the worst testimony of credit and identity fraud before it was a thing. I mean, I'm talking like back in the early 2000s. My first wife took my information and was just went buck like when she left me, she went buck wild with it. I'm away at sea in the military, so I don't know these things are going on. I did back to back tours and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not even home. I'm out to sea, serving, and so not aware these things are going on. I just gave up, man, because when I got home trying to fix stuff, I'm on the phone on hold for like 4 hours. You're talking to robots and you can't get a person to help you, and then by the time you get someone to help you, your attitude's crap because you've been on hold for so long, and you kind of give them attitude, and they've been dealing with people like that all day. It's the way the system is set up is to deter people from pursuing and fixing their credit, right? Um, this is how I feel. So I appreciate. I know what you probably the time you spent getting this information to help yourself, and then sharing the information to help others.
And you're absolutely right. So I will say there are some agencies that's in place to protect you, that oversees. For example, the CFPB, one of the main roles is to oversee the consumer reporting agencies. But even with them, when you file a complaint with them, you file a complaint, they send it to the creditor, and the creditor responds. So it's like sometimes I think like all these agencies are working in cahoots with each other. To be honest with you, and then but you have to be persistent though. You know what I mean? That's the thing. A lot of people they have a negative annual credit report. They were sending like one letter, one dispute, and expect it to be magically. Sometimes it does happen overnight. I ain't gonna say it don't happen over, but 9 out of 10 times you have to follow up. You have to be consistent. Because it's really a three-step process. First, you say, "Hey, look, you violated my right. You know, these are things you did." Then the second one is say, "Look, I gave you the opportunity to fix it. You have to fix it." And the third one is, you send them a letter intent to file a lawsuit. Then you show the paper trail. There's a paper trail, and then you actually take them to court. You say, "Hey, look, I got these documentation, these certified receipts. Hey, these are all laws that violate. They didn't fix it. Now they have to give me the bag." 15 USC, 15 USC 1681 in civil liability. You can charge up to $1,000 per violation. So it is a step process. I mean, to get negative item off your credit report, but if you're consistent, you do have the law on your side. And then also too, it's about the words that we use. For example, most people when they think experience change and Equifax, they call them credit bureaus, but they are not bureaus though. These are just regular corporation for profit, like a Walmart, a Kmart, or whatever. That's what they are. They're not bureaus. So if you write a letter to them, you say, "Hey, I'm writing to this consumer report. I mean, I'm writing to this credit bureaus." They're not credit bureaus, so they probably going to just send you stuff back. So if you don't use the right language, so not
Hmm.
only you have to use the right language, you also have to know what you're saying too. So that's very, very important. That's why it's important to study law. That's why when I get on interviews like this, I give people the laws. They can go and study and they can research their own self because you have.
And
Yep.
well, real quick, and that's what you do, right? So do you come alongside people, and you help them in this process, or you just give them information? What's it look like your day to day?
So it just depends. Sometimes somebody might reach out and say, "Hey, look, I have some old addresses I need to take off my credit report." Then I send them updated information, let it send to the consumer reporting agencies. Or they might just say, "Look, I have some items I need to take off my credit report." Then I'll do a consultation with them. Then I have to analyze the credit report to see what's on it. But then either I can give them the exact letters that they need, or I can put a package together for them. It just depends on what they need. Or if they just say, "Look, I just need to build some positive credit," I might say, "Hey, here's a list of about like 12 or 13 things that you can use to build positive credit," because everyone's situation is different.
When I'm I'm thinking like my wheels are turning, right. Like if I was doing what you're doing, like what really surprised me, and I've heard you say it before, um, is that the credit agencies that are, like you said, Equifax and stuff. You can hold them accountable to $1,000 per violation. Like, man, you come out the gate with that, and I think you've got everybody's attention right off the bat, because we all we all struggle with the credit stuff because we don't understand the process. A lot. Say it's like being in child support or court. It's just like we're not lawyers. We don't understand the process. We get lost in it. We get abused by it, and we kind of like just give up and do whatever. I feel like for me, that's my experience with the credit stuff. It's like I don't, I just don't know. It's like you get overwhelmed, you don't know where to begin, and all these things. You just kind of give up on it. And um, honestly, like my philosophy was like, let me just give up on it. Things disappear in 7 years, and this and that, and that's not good. It's not a good mentality. That's not. That's it's not a good way to proceed, right? Because now you're just holding yourself up. Where if I was more motivated, if I had more intentional with my time, I could go after them and clean my credit up, or don't and pay me, right? Like that. Like, who knew that was an option? Like,
Yeah, exactly. But the only thing is, there's certain steps you gotta follow. You can't just off the muscle say, "Hey, look, you violate my right. Pay me $1,000."
right? You got to do, like you said, you got to document, do the
Yeah,
process, but
exactly. That's what it's, and that's where most people get frustrated. They do one dispute, they're like, "Oh, just forget it. I can't do this stuff." You had to be persistent. That's how. Because I'm trying to tell you, like, if you talk to even like all the gurus out there, they will tell you like stuff don't always come off the first time you dispute it. Because you have to understand these companies and corporations, like for example, when it comes to the consumer report agencies, in order for somebody to report something to the consumer, they actually pay the credit reporting agencies. Like, so that's why the credit reporting agencies are not always they're not your friend. they get paid when people report stuff to them. So that's why they fight tooth and nail before they do what they're supposed to do. And that's why it's important to know the laws.
Well, and I'll share an experience with you guys. Like even just a couple months ago. Now I haven't dealt with credit stuff in like over a decade. Like I really don't. I don't know where my credit score is. I kind of abandoned all hope. I'm a cash guy, and it's manageable for me. I just learned to live that way. But it's not ideal. I'll share that with you up front. But I've learned to deal with the trauma in a different way. But the credit system has traumatized me to the point like back in 2000 I think my first wife when she left me she took my information, she bought Sprint phones for her and her new husband whatever, and all under my name, and then never paid the bill, and then like the phone bill blew up and got huge. And long story short, even a couple months ago, and this is over 20 years ago now, so it doesn't just go away in 7 years always. Like that's the old myth. I don't know. But this representative who bought the Sprint debt in my name, and I pursued things. I did file with the police and the feds. I filed like a identity theft fraud stuff like that. Um, but you can't just drop it at that. You can't just file it and then forget about it. You got to follow up, and I did not. But that's all I was willing to do. So I filed the report, and they're calling me 20 years later trying to get this debt, and of course it's blown up because of like inflation and interest and all this other stuff. And I'm like, buddy, that I never signed a piece of paper. I never signed a contract. It wasn't me. There's identity fraud. Here's the information. And the guy was like, well, we don't care. You need to pay this debt. You need to settle it, or you will see you in court. And you can bring all that documentation to court. And so I was like, cool, bro. Like, I'll see you in court. Click. Like, I'll wait for the summons if that's the case. And of course, it never came. But that's a kind of like fear tactics and kind of, aggressiveness they come at you with for this debt collection.
And actually, if they threaten to sue, actually that's a violation too for them to threaten to sue too. Under the
That's good
fact
to know. Right. And had I had that information, man, wow, like how more empowered would I be in leveraging that conversation? So, yeah, right there, like this guy's giving us important information. And yeah, so it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle for people that are not on top of it. If you're under it, you're overwhelmed. And so I just want to make sure everybody sees the website, ronnyfrancois.com. In the comments section, I've posted this address as well. So you want to tell us about the free ebooks you were offering? Because
yeah, so I got three of them. The first one's called um, I almost forgot the name, but it's called Break the Cycle and Live with Bad Credit. So what I do is anyone that's watching this live, watching the replay, if they want the ebooks, they can inbox me or follow me on Instagram, or they can do it through you. Say, hey, look, I want a free ebook, and I'll send that book. The second ebook is called The 10 Credit Commandments. That's the second one, and the third credit book, it's not even out yet. I think it's gonna come out this month. I'll make that ebook available too. So what's so special about this ebook? It's called it's called the Credit Lab: How to Fix Your Own Credit. And this book it deals with student loan forgiveness, how to tackle bankruptcy. It basically tackles everything in this book. And like I said, this book is not even out yet, and I'll make it available to your audience, to your listeners.
man, I appreciate that. So the link is on the comments for YouTube and Facebook. If you guys are watching through those, just scroll up to the top of the conversation. Real quick, I was going to add your IG. You said it's Mr. Ronnie
Underscore
underscore
here.
credit hero.
Yeah, they can just DM me on Instagram. And then, and one cool thing about me is like, so if somebody give me an email address to send them XYZ, I'm only going to send you XYZ. It's not like I get your email and then just, I don't want to do all that. I'll send you what you asked for it. And if you say thank you, it's cool. If you don't, it just whatever. So I don't do all that.
No, I appreciate the information. And there's much more to unpack with Mr. Ronnie. You guys just get connected. There's his website. There's his IG. You can always connect with me or Quita. We'll get you guys plugged in. Um, I I'm glad you sent me the link to the book because I can get started with that. But I love talking to you, man. I love like hearing you speak with authority. and being able to articulate and you can listen to someone and see like just instantly you already know where to go with what they're with what they're sharing. So I think it's important to just have a consultation with them, have a conversation, and let this man help you, man. Because our end goal, honestly, with Quita and what she does with Smaltimore Homes, some work we've done with our guy Ryan, and several other people is even if you don't use our resources, we want people in Baltimore to be homeowners. We want people to have um, a legacy of wealth to hand down to the next generation. We don't want them to rent forever. We don't want them to be stuck where they're at money wise. And so these are the baby steps to really taking control of your money and being able to build wealth that you can pass down to the next generation or wherever you want. If you want to take all your money and give it to a nonprofit or whatever you want to do with it. But begins with credit. Credit leads to home ownership, car ownership, other things that are empowering. That really, it's a culture that a lot of our people miss out on because we're always renting and leasing and always under the thumb of this oppressive system. This is one way we can break free from it and start to empower ourselves and live differently and have a different perspective on how we live intentionally. So I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate everything you're sharing. And like I said, there's lots more to unpack. Do you have any events coming up that you're going to be at, or any
Um,
panels?
nothing, nothing. Yeah, I'm just working on like two more books. I want to drive three this year, so I'm just trying to see if I can do two more books.
That sounds good. I encourage you connect with Tia with Urban Reads.
Okay.
As your books come out, I see that you have the ebooks and you're offering them for free. But there's value in the information that you have, and I think that you know, let's see how we can connect people to it. I'll also share with you on Sunday mornings at Lake Montebello at 9:30. Quita, I support Quita and her team as they do a community walk around the lake, and it's a place where we network with other community leaders as well as people in the neighborhood. We have access to certain professionals. And I'd like to be able to bring some of your information to the table and offer that to the community that gathers there.
Yeah, what I could do is because my books, what I could just I could actually make some binders with the books in them for you. I can actually do that. Maybe not this Sunday, maybe like a couple weeks. Like I said, I will actually physically, print the books out and just put them in a binder for you. Because that way, in case somebody can't afford to buy the book for whatever reason, I give you like 20, maybe 10 or 15 copies, and you can just pass them out.
And I'll print some up too, bro. Let's do it. And I hope to see you out there just to be able to come and network and everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
we can definitely plan something out. Like I said, because
Very cool.
you definitely doing a lot in the community. Anything I could do help support you. And I'm one of the types of guys like I don't need nothing in return. I have no problem just putting that love out to support. If it comes back, it just comes back. That's
I
just how.
appreciate that because I'm the same way, man. I ain't got a lot to give, but what I got is my time and my experience and knowledge, and I'm willing to share it. And God always provides, man. So we're coming up on our 30 minutes, man. Do you have any last words before we hop off of here?
Again, I just want to say just thank you for having me on here. Again, most people, I think the mistake that they make is they just ignore their credit. And in the perfect world, once that 7 year happened, the statute of limitations, the stuff should come off. But these consumer repair agencies, they don't really care about us. They gonna leave the stuff on there. So that's why it's important to at least pull your credit at least once a year. You can get a free copy in the freeannualcreditreport.com. That's very, very important. And then again, if you reach out to me, you're gonna get me. You're not gonna get like some, assistant or whatever. You're gonna get me directly. And then what I'll do is I'll waiver the consultation fee for anybody on your network that want the consultation. I'll do it for them for free because it's just my way of giving back.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yes.
Mr. Roddy Francois, guys, a credit hero. Check him out on IG. We got one comment we'll put up, and then we're out of here. Let's see. Hey, Mama Deborah, we started this Sunday, so hopefully we see you next Sunday. Appreciate and love you. She runs Womb Works, does active. She works with actors and artists over west. So yeah, look forward to seeing you, Mama Don. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for checking back in. We'll
Thank you.
see you next Monday. Please check in with Mr. Ronnie on his IG, guys. Let's
And
get
then,
these bags.
and also,
Yes, sir.
and then also, and also too, like any nonprofit that you connected with, I will make the ebooks available for free my first two ebooks, Break the Cycle, and the 10 I'll make those ebooks available to them for free. That way they can, distribute it to have they see it. Like I said, they might not want to reach out to me directly, but if it's the director or organizer of the organizer, I'll email it to them, and I'm like, hey, give it out to however you see fit. Because that's what it was
So
going to.
yeah,
Yeah,
we will definitely do that moving forward, man. I appreciate
yeah,
your time, man, and thank
yeah.
you for your generosity.
That's what I do too. After we get off this, I'll email the two ebooks to you, and that way you can just hand them out to however you see fit.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, thank you.
All right, have a good week, guys. Thanks again for your time tonight, brother. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.